Black body radiations. All bodies emit and absorb electromagnetic radiations. When the body and its surrounding have the same temperature, the amount of radiation emitted is equal to the amount of radiation absorbed. The power of body's radiation is proportional to its surface area and to the fourth power of its absolute temperature. Joseph Stefan observed this result in the year 1879, but it was Ludwig Boltzmann who derived this finding theoretically after 5 years. This this result is now called the Stefan Boltzmann. So we have here the power radiated by the black body radiation. So using this formula is the Stefan Boltzmann law. So the PR here is the power radiated, and we have the surface area here, the capital letter A. We have the sigma here, the universal constant 5.67037 times 10 to the negative 8 watt per meter squared Kelvin to the fourth. We have the emissivity here of the radiating surface, small letter E here. It is unitless constant between 0 and 1 that depends on surface properties of the body. Part of electromagnetic radiation on a body is reflected and the other part is absorbed, but dark body absorbs most of the radiations. So if the body has temperature T sub 0, it absorbs radiation at the rate given by this equation. So this is equation 8 times sigma times the surface area times the temperature in Kelvin raised to the fourth. So if the body at a temperature T and the atmosphere and the object at its surrounding have temperature T sub 0, the net power of the radiating coming from the body is given by this equation. So if the body emits more radiant energy, it becomes cooler. But if the surrounding emits more radiant energy, the body absorbs radiation and becomes warmer. So if the body and the surrounding have the same temperature, then the body emits and absorbs radiation equally. Okay, a black body or an ideal radiator is a body that absorbs all radiation to that with emissivity equal to 1. It is possible to calculate theoretically the characteristics of the radiations. So between 600 and 700 degrees Celsius, the radiant energy of the object becomes visible as shown in its lightly reddening surface. Okay, as the temperature increases, the surface of the object becomes brightly red, orange, or even yellow at higher temperature. The figure below shows the black body power as a function of wavelengths of 3 different temperatures. So we have temperature 1, 1000 Kelvin, temperature 2, 1200 Kelvin, and temperature 3, 1450 Kelvin. So this is the Wien's law. So we have seen here that as the temperature increases, the wavelength the wavelength decreases. So as the temperature decreases, the wavelength increases here, right? So we have here the wavelength on the x-axis, and the vertical axis is represented by the radiating power. The wavelength is inversely proportional to the Kelvin temperature at which the power is maximum. This law is also known as Wien's displacement law. So this is equal to 2.898 millimeter times Kelvin over the temperature in Kelvin. The surface temperature of the stars can be determined using this law. We have an example of that later on. The temperatures in the different regions of the surface of the object can be mapped out using Wien's displacement law. A thermograph is a device that continuously records temperature changes over time. So in medical thermography, a thermograph is used to detect heat pattern, especially the cancerous skin in the human body. A thermograph was used to detect this cancerous tumor. classical thermodynamics calculated theoretically the black body spectral distribution, but Max Planck quantized the energy, which solved the discrepancy with the Rayleigh Jando that has an ultraviolet catastrophe. Okay, later on we have we will differentiate the Planck's law from the Rayleigh Jando. So we have a sample problem here. The maximum power of radiation emitted by the sun's surface has approximately a wavelength of 500 nanometer. What is the surface temperature of the sun, considering that it is a black body emitter? Find the wavelength of black body at 100 degrees Celsius. Compare both wavelengths. Compare also their temperature. So by using the Wien's law here, the temperature on the surface of the sun is 5,800 Kelvin. Okay. And letter B, using the Wien's law again here, to compute for the wavelength of the black body at 100 degrees Celsius. So by using this formula by Wien's law, so the answer is 7.77 micrometer. So letter C, the wavelength at 100 degrees Celsius is almost 16 times greater than the wavelength near the surface of the sun. So this is our computation for the comparison. So as their temperature comparison is, so also their temperature comparison is 5,800 Kelvin over to 73 point Kelvin is also their temperature comparison is 5,800 Kelvin divided by 373.15 Kelvin is equal to 16. So the temperature of the sun's surface is 16 times greater than the temperature of the black body at 100 degrees Celsius. The sun maximum wavelength is visible in the spectrum. So the sun radiation spectrum is here. The infrared maximum wavelength is longer than the wavelength visible to the eye. Okay. So the human skin, although they are not black to our eyes, can be considered as black bodies for absorption and emission. So the emissivity of the skin is equal to 1.0. So we have another example here. Suppose a naked person as a black body has a total surface area of 1.3 meter squared inside a room where the temperature is 22 degrees Celsius. If the temperature of the person is 34 degrees Celsius, find the rate of heat loss that radiates from the person. So by substitution here, we have the temperature in Kelvin. The T sub 0 is to 95.15 Kelvin, and the temperature T is equal to 307.15 Kelvin. So by the Stefan constant is 5.6703 times 10 to the negative 8 watts per meter squared Kelvin to the fourth. We have the emissivity equal to 1 for this person. So by substitution here, we substitute here. So let us substitute there's T here, and let us also substitute this temperature 295 here. So what we have is 97 watts approximately. So that is the power radiated. Okay, so by wearing a clothing with a low thermal conductivity, we protect ourselves from this loss of heat. So if the temperature of the object is approximately equal to the temperature of the surrounding, so we can you can replace T with T sub 0 here. Okay, then we have this one, the difference of two squares here. Okay, then T equal to T sub 0 here. So by expanding this one, or we multiply this one and this one, so we have the 4 times t sub 03 raised to the third. So we have the so we can show this algebraically. So we have the power radiated is equal to 48 times sigma times surface area times t raised to the third times delta time. Okay. Okay, so we have the programming by Mathematica here. So we have the equation for the uh, this is the Planck's law. Okay, so we have the given here the Planck's constant 6.626 times 10 to the negative 34, and we have the speed of light, and we have the uh, degree here is the Boltzmann constant. Okay, so let's just plot the three temperature here. So we have temperature 500, we have temperature 600, 6,000 Kelvin, and 7,000 Kelvin here. Okay. So we have the Planck's constant and the speed of light, no, are all constant. So this is a function of the lambda, the wavelength. Okay. So we have this. So we have the temperature here, 5,000. Temperature in the orange is 6,000. Temperature for the green is 7,000. So we have seen here the wavelength for the highest temperature is the wavelength is less than the wavelength of the next higher, the wavelength of the temperature at 6,000 Kelvin. We have here the longest wavelength here for lower temperature. So as the temperature increases, the wavelength decreases, or vice versa. If the temperature decreases, the wavelength increases. So we have the equation for the Planck's law here. We have this one. So we have the description of the Planck's law here. So we have here also here the given. So we can plot the Planck's law here. So we have the three temperature here. The lowest temperature is 7,000 here. Then the 6,000 temperature, 6,000 Kelvin here. We have the 7,000 Kelvin. So for the 6,000, for the 7,000 Kelvin, the wavelength is uh, less than the wavelength of the 6,000 Kelvin, and this one is has the uh, largest wavelength for the 5,000 Kelvin. Okay, so we have the Rayleigh-Hahn law. Now this is the classical thermodynamics. Okay. So in this one, we have the ultraviolet catastrophe here, because here, as the wavelength decreases, the energy here increases infinitely. So that's what we call the catastrophic. That is what we call the what what the violet catastrophe, and that was resolved by Planck. So here there is no catastrophe here. As you increase the as you decrease the wavelength here, there is only a certain uh, radiation power here up to here only. Unlike in the Henry Hien law, the energy here increases infinitely for a small value of wavelength, for a very, very small value wavelength. Okay. So we have another graph here. Okay. Another coding, another way of expressing the the Rayleigh-Shan law. Okay. Now we have the difference between the Rayleigh-Shan law and Planck's law. The Rayleigh-Shan law and Planck's law both describe the spectral regions of black body radiation, but they differ in their assumption and accuracy at different wavelengths. Rayleigh-Shan law is a classical approximation for a black body radiation given by this equation. So B here is the spectral regions, and C here is the speed of light. Kb is the Boltzmann constant, and T here is the temperature in Kelvin. We have the lambda here, the wavelength. So valid at long wavelength, low temperature. So this Rayleigh-Shan law is valid for a long wavelength, but it fails at short wavelengths, high frequency, leading to the ultraviolet catastrophe, where the predating energy diverges to infinity. Now, for this was corrected by Max Planck. Max's law correctly describes black body radiation by incorporating quantum mechanics. So we have here the Planck's law equation, and H here is the Planck's constant equal to 6.626 times 10 to the negative 34 joule times second. Accurate at all wavelengths, solving the ultraviolet catastrophe. Reduces to really Shan law at long wavelengths. When wavelength is large, so this becomes 1 plus HC over lambda K times T, leading to the classified result. All right, so this is the result, no? So this result is based on this series of E. No? So its approximation is only 1 plus x here. So we have here the power of e to the x. So it is just equal to 1 plus x. So our x here is 1. Okay. So 1 plus x here. Okay. It reduces to Wien's law at short wavelength, where only high energy photons contribute. Okay. So we have here the key difference. Okay. So for the feature, based on the Rayleigh-Shan law is based on classical physics, and the Planck's law is based on quantum mechanics. Validity range, this is for long range wavelength or low frequency. Now this is true for all the wavelengths. Ultraviolet catastrophe, yes, diverges at short wavelengths, and the Planck's law does not diverge. No, the answer here is no. Finite energy at all wavelengths. So derived from equipartition theorem, and this Planck's law is derived from photon energy quantization. So later on, we have an example of the equipartition theorem. I will discuss that. Okay. All right. So this is the equipartition theorem. The equipartition theorem states that in thermal equilibrium, each quadratic degree of freedom of a system contributes an average energy of 1/2 of the Boltzmann constant times the temperature in Kelvin. Where Kb here is the Boltzmann constant, 1.38 times 10 to the negative 23 joule per Kelvin, and the capital letter T here is the absolute temperature in Kelvin. Okay, so this is the quadratic degree because you have the 1/2 mv squared. No? This is the second degree, so that is where the quadratic degree comes from. So one example here, energy of a monatomic gas ideal. So a monatomic gas, helium neon, has 3 translational degrees of freedom. So motion in x, y, z directions. According to the equipartition theorem, the average kinetic energy per molecule is 1 half 3 equal to 3 over 2 Boltzmann constant times the temperature in Kelvin. Because this is the Boltzmann constant for each uh, for each atomic gas here. Now, for the we have the 3 degrees of freedom here, so that's why we have this three times the average energy. So let's calculate this at the temperature equal to 300 Kelvin room temperature. The average is 3 times the Boltzmann constant times 300 Kelvin. So the answer is 6.21 times into the negative 21. So this is total energy of the total energy of 1 mole of gas. So we have 1 mole is Avogadro's number is equal to 6.022 times into the negative 23. So the total energy is so we have here 6.21 for each atomic gas here. So times the Avogadro's number here. So what we have is 3.74 kilojoule, right? So that is the energy of 1 mole of gas. Thus, at 300 Kelvin, 1 mole of monatomic gas has 3.74 kilojoules of internal energy. Due to translational motion, let's extend the equipartition theorem to diatomic and polyatomic gases. For diatomic gases, for example, we have here the dioxide and 2 atoms of nitrogen and 2 atoms of oxygen. So diatomic gas has 5 degrees of freedom at room temperature. 3 translational motion in XYZ, and 2 for rotational motion. Rotation about 2 perpendicular axis. The third axis along the band axis. So we have here the third axis along the band axis is negligible at low temperatures. So we have to remember this one. So the third axis along the band is negligible at low temperatures. Okay. Thus the average energy per mole is per molecule is 3 the average the average energy per molecule. Okay, that's the average energy per molecule here is equal to 5 over 2. So we have the 3 degrees of freedom for the translational motion and 2 degrees of freedom for rotational motion. So 3 plus 2 equal to 5 here. Okay, so at 300 Kelvin using 1.38 times into the negative 23, this is the Boltzmann constant. We have the average energy here, 5 over 2 times the Boltzmann constant times the absolute temperature here. That is 1.035 times into the negative 23 joules. For 1 mole of diatomic gas, so we have to multiply this by the Avogadro's number, 6.022 times into the 23 here, 6.23. So that's at 300 Kelvin, 1 mole of diatomic gas has 6.23 Kelvin joules of internal energy due to translation and rotation. For polyatomic gas, a nonlinear polyatomic gas, methane carbon dioxide, has 6 degrees at room temperature. The reason is we have the 3 translational, 3 degrees of freedom for translation and 3 degrees of freedom for rotational. Since nonlinear molecules can rotate around all 3 perpendicular axes. So unlike here in the diatomic, it can rotate around the x-axis and the y-axis here, but it cannot rotate here at around the z-axis. For the three for the polyatomic gas, it can rotate around the x-axis, y-axis, and the z-axis. So the average energy per molecule here is 3 K times T. So at 300 Kelvin, the answer is the average energy is 1.24 times 10⁻⁻20. For a mole of polyatomic gas, so multiply this by Avogadro's number. So we have 7.46 kilojoule. Thus, at 300 Kelvin, 1 mole of nonlinear polyatomic gas has 7.46 kilojoule of internal energy. So we have the summary here. So gas type degrees of freedom, energy per molecule, energy per mole. So for the monatomic gas, degrees of freedom is equal to 3. The energy per molecule is 6.21 times 10 to the negative 21. Energy per mole is 3.74 uh, kilo. So this is kilojoules. Okay, so the energy of an atomic gas per mole is 3.74 here, kilojoule. And for the diatomic gas, the degrees of freedom is equal to 5. The energy per molecule here is 1.035 times 10 to the negative 10. The energy per mole here is 6.23 kilojoules. For the polyatomic gas, the degrees of freedom is equal to 6. The energy per molecule is 1.24 times 10 to the negative 20. Now we have to multiply this by the Avogadro's number. The answer is 7.46 times 7.46 kilojoule.